Hey, this is Paige Barkoviak for my Politics for the People submission this book. I'd like to do a video and mix it up a little. As I was reading the novel, for me, words that I could write didn't really compare to what was written. So I felt like a video might be a good medium to get across some highlights and importance I felt throughout this book. So for me, this book highlights the importance of understanding the intersections of all of these issues we have as a country and how all of the approaches to these significant problems have to be interconnected. Reading this book also reminded me that the story for 200 years ago is the exact same story we're experiencing today. It never changes, history repeats itself, and is part of the reason I studied political science from a historical perspective. So it reminds me that history doesn't change and people don't change because of the preservation of power and that desire we all have. Especially in chapter 2, it felt like we know power is never going to be conceded without a demand. And I loved that piece in the beginning of chapter 2. The rest of chapter 2 really outlines why power is preserved and why people want to hold on to it, especially for this book, outlining the demands and the work that Blacks had to do and still are continuing to this day to achieve that balance of power. This book reminds me that this is a history class I was never able to take, and the systemic racist policies from requiring different owning property and residency for Black and white people proves to me how racist our system was built from the beginning. Chapter 2 is all about the 1800s, which is a really interesting period, not something I have knowledge or understanding in. So it was a really good opportunity to learn about the Black people's lived experience in the 1800s, not only struggling with slavery and voting, but that they were thinking about these things. And this book is a great opportunity for people like myself who we've never been able or open to exposing these worldviews to us to have that experience and listen and read these perspectives. It was really great. I was really personally excited to learn about the Black petitioning efforts that were really big in the early 1800s. From my experience in Michigan with Voters Not Politicians, doing ballot drives and having that campaign experience, I was really excited to hear stories from the 19th century ballot drives and how a lot of the struggles are shared. I also was very disappointed with the states immediately making it more challenging for Blacks with new requirements every time Blacks were nearing success or nearing something. They continue to put restrictions and limitations on petition drives specifically, but we see this throughout history. And again, it's another reinforcement that our system makes rules to preserve people who are in power. And at this time in chapter 2, it's white males are making all of these rules to preserve their power. And I'm filled with deep sadness that for so long in our country, people and politicians have felt that the political game is somehow a zero-sum game and that not all of us can succeed unless, you're not succeeding the same amount. I struggle with that because we know that we can all succeed together, and that just because I'm getting the right to vote does not mean a white male is not getting the right to vote. So chapter 2 was a really great opportunity for me, and I feel deeply honored that I was able to read these stories of Black Americans pursuing the abolishing of slavery and pursuing the right to vote and to find their political identity in our political system, right? It's a refreshing reminder that our political system was built by white people for white people. And it is time, in my opinion, for our political system to be revolutionized and to change because we owe it to our neighbors and for all Americans to feel like they have a home in our political process. Specifically, this book opened my eyes to the Black independent home and the struggles that Black independents have gone through trying to find that home. So really appreciate this book. It was a really great opportunity to learn more and hear new perspectives, and can't wait to hear everybody else's thoughts on it. Thanks.